Here's how the first episode of The Office was the perfect way to kick off this low-budget mockumentary into a TV phenomenon. The beauty of The Office pilot is that nothing really happens, and that's exactly the point. For example, Seinfeld, famous for being a show about nothing, but took that idea and put it in fluorescent lighting, selling paper. There's no dramatic cold open, no flashy hook, just a painfully regular guy talking to a camera in a painfully regular office. Everything about this show feels like 1:15 p.m. on a Tuesday, and that is why you need the politically incorrect bull in a china shop, Michael Gary Scott. Here's the setup. Michael gets news from the corporate that Dunder Mifflin is considering downsizing one of its branches, and the Scranton branch is on the chopping block. His reaction? Turn it into a joke, then an impression, and then a prank. This is the show's entire thesis. Normal news, normal people, insurmountable awkwardness. That is the technique The Office uses to hit so hard. It delivers skin-crawling taboos, lets the characters and audience sit there and fester in it. Guerrilla-style cringe comedy that takes the boring office setting and adds controversial chaos. We then land on the heart of the show, the most debated love story of the 21st century, the budding relationship of Jim and Pam, just enough to make viewers feel good in the world of holding their hands over their eyes. This is an all-time pilot because it does so many of the things that continued throughout the show that makes it a juggernaut that it is today. So, here are the most important moments in the pilot that establish the DNA of the show. That smile, that lean over the desk, the pencil toss, you feel it, and it's not about love yet, it's about comfort. The way Pam lights up around Jim is different than when Roy's around, and the camera sees it and so do we. When everyone in the office is discussing downsizing, Jim and Pam are gossiping about their coworkers. Everyone has that work best friend. Jim uses his talking head to make jokes. Pam uses her talking heads to talk about Jim. Dwight uses his to pitch that he is the best coworker in the office, and Michael uses his to remain incredibly delusional.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
These talking heads showcase who these people are because we don't just see how they interact with each other, we see how they act when they're talking directly to the audience. It's not just unfunny, it's cruel. It tells you something essential about this show. Michael Scott does not give a damn. The laughs land harder when the stakes are real, and Michael is not afraid to use that to gain a laugh from a temp coworker that he doesn't even know. It's brutal. The first prank, instantly iconic. It's not just a gag, it's a tone setter. This isn't a show about practical jokes. It's a show about how bored people find meaning in small rebellions, and it kicks off the best TV rivalry of the 2000s. Jim and Dwight are the modern-day Bugs and Daffy, a perfect TV marriage. The pilot wastes no time locking in the core four, a dynamic that ends up carrying 7 to 9 seasons. First off, Michael Scott's the regional manager of Dunder Mifflin, the engine of the show, and arguably the greatest lead character in the history of sitcom. Michael's entire life revolves around the admiration of others and going to painstaking lengths to gain the most subtle chuckle from the people around him. And the next level is, if he gets that chuckle, strap in, because he's going to squeeze and push as hard as he can to hold on to that moment and drive whatever makes you crack and smile into the ground like a railroad spike. The cherry on top, he does not give a single guardrail to what he will say or do, or who he will say or do it to get some sort of attention. Any sort of sexual, racial, religious, or cultural consideration is completely off the table. He's the one who gets it. The guy at work is a little too smart for the room, a little too chill to care, and a little too into that receptionist. He's also the character the audience most immediately identifies with, which is why he keeps looking at us. Krasinski's iconic camera pan is not a part of the pilot, but the idea behind it is there. If you've ever have that office setting drama where someone you look over and say, "Can you believe this?" That guy saying that is Jim. That receptionist that Jim can't stop talking to. She's sweet, shy, and totally aware that life is happening somewhere else. She's engaged to a guy that the audience immediately is meant to hate. She's incredibly whatever about her job, and she seems to only show up for the paycheck and the gossip. She's the one that Jim leans over to and says, "Can you believe this?" The assistant to the regional manager. Everyone in this show is meant to be witty representations of incredibly normal office co-workers, except for Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute. Dwight is over the top and in your face, the yin to Jim's yang, the Toto to Michael's Dorothy. It is kind of wild how similar Dwight and Michael are despite having such different energies. Schrute is the try-hard of all try-hards and the perfect office foil in the bullpen. This is the show's version of workplace Avengers. Everyone else is in the background for now, but one of the things that makes this show so prolific is the depth of the roster. Ryan, Kevin, Oscar, Angela, Stanley, and Phyllis aren't in the pilot much, but they are all household names by the end of this show's run. Toby, Kelly, and Meredith are not in the pilot, but they get the call up in episode 2. Let's be real. The Office pilot didn't blow anyone away. After all, it's an American remake of a British sitcom by the same name. People knew that going in and were interested, but not really excited. The early reviews were mixed. Critics said it was too derivative and that Steve Carell couldn't match Ricky Gervais, that it lacked identity. They weren't totally wrong, yet, because something happened right after this episode. Michael became less intentionally mean and more clueless. Jim and Pam got more space to breathe. Dwight's quirks were dialed up just enough to make him perfect.
That's it for me.
The world of Dunder Mifflin expanded and the show found its heart. By season 2, The Office wasn't just funny, it was beloved. It became the kind of show people watched on repeat, quoted at work, and turned into a cultural language. And now, it's one of the most streamed series in history. A comfort show, a background show, a study in how something so small can become so massive. It got so big that you can still go on a dating app today and find multiple people who proudly have made The Office their entire personality and a litmus test to who they will date. It all started with this episode, a 22-minute experiment that chose awkward silences over laugh tracks and made it work. The Office pilot doesn't try to impress you. It tries to bore you and then sneak up on you with situations that are simultaneously off the wall and incredibly low-key. That's why it works. It feels familiar. It's relatable. Like a real office you've worked in, or avoided, or escaped. The people are flawed, the jokes are small, and the stakes are paper thin. But the feel of it, that's what keeps you coming back. The show creates a train wreck effect that viewers can get addicted to. It's incredibly hard to watch at times, yet you can't look away. And the show knows that because they make sure every remark made that makes your skin crawl is followed up by the characters and audience sitting in it. The silence in this show is deafening, and you cannot believe what just happened. This isn't just a pilot episode, it's the first day on the job, and somehow you want to come back tomorrow, if for no other reason, to see what the hell this guy is going to say next. Spoiler alert, it gets a lot worse.